This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Welcome to the Monday Mobile-thon. Well, Field McConnell is still under house arrest. He is awaiting trial the first week of May, while Timothy Charles Homseth is busy gallivanting all over the country, free to spread his conspiracy theories and just having a gay old time with his female companion. And gleefully spreading, it seems, a death wish with the help of his handler, Randy Erickson. Where there have been some posts come up on the Facebook page, which seems to indicate that they wouldn't mind if a few people in Broward County die if it takes out their nemesis. That maybe there's people in Broward County that deserve to die in order to support their little conspiracy theory they have about luciferians and child trafficking and people eating babies and drinking babies' bloods and all this other gory horse cocky. And so we had an article come out posted by Randy Erickson where there seemed to be a lack of concern for the people of Broward County, Florida. And there's a website out there run by whoever it is, I have no idea who runs this website, that expresses that accusation that Randy Erickson is quite happy and elated to post that she wishes people would die. That's kind of a hell of a thing to wish on complete strangers that have nothing to do with this crap. But that's the kind of people we're dealing with here. They want to see people dead. For whatever demented, strange, and weird reason they have floating around in their head of theirs, is that they want to see these people die. And so they post this stuff on their social media pages, and their supporters eat it up. Now, another thing that Tim Homseth did that wasn't too awfully bright is he posted another one of his monologues. And in it, when he got to a certain attorney from Florida, would say redacted, redacted, redacted. And this is so people could probably guess who it is. And it was an attempt by Tim Homseth to avoid legal entanglements because he's prohibited by saying her name. Well, along comes Randy Erickson, who brilliantly puts on her Facebook page that redacted means the name of the attorney in Florida that Timothy Homseth is not supposed to talk about. Now, by doing that, Randy Erickson has become a material witness, for she can now state for the record, in court, under oath if necessary, that when Tim Homseth says redacted, he is actually talking about the attorney from Florida. And each time he has said redacted, he is in violation of his court order, because he is allowing a third party, in this case Randy Erickson, to speak on his behalf. This is prohibited under the court order. And Field McConnell did the same thing, that he was speaking on behalf of Tim Homseth by mentioning the attorney's name over and over again. Field McConnell took it one step further and issued death threats against the attorney. Now, what Randy Q. Erickson doesn't realize, and neither does Tim Holmseth for that matter, is they may have made things worse for Field McConnell. Because now it can be argued in court that Timothy Holmseth and Randy Q. Erickson are acting as a third party on his behalf. That they are getting the message out that Field McConnell can't because he's under court order. And that this is why the most severe punishment possible needs to be levied out against Field McConnell. That Field McConnell needs to pay the heaviest price and the highest price allowable under the law. And that means longer terms in jail, more severe probation requirements, possibly monetary fines, damages paid to the victim in the case, all kinds of things that can be levied against Field McConnell because of this continuing action by Timothy Charles Holmseth and Randy Q. Erickson. Now, these people can go ahead and try and delete their postings, but it's now a matter of record. There are witnesses that have seen these statements. There are witnesses that have heard the audio. And there's witnesses that have downloaded and archived the audio. So once the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak, there's no putting it back in. The cat's out of the bag. You know, these people keep being stupid every time they turn around with this conduct. And, you know, now they are going to have to account for their actions. And it's going to begin first by proxy with Field McConnell because the evidence just keeps piling up. Every time something is said about this attorney by either Randy Q. Erickson or Timothy Holmseth or any of the other people involved in this little group, that evidence can be presented to court as a foundation of evidence when Field McConnell's trial is coming up. These people seem to forget that they are being monitored. They are being monitored by a plaintiff, or in this case, the victim of the case, and they are being monitored by law enforcement for several reasons. And so they just keep adding to the evidence against Field McConnell and demonstrating to the court that Field McConnell cannot be allowed to be on the internet. That as early as possible, Field McConnell's social media accounts have to be removed. And, you know, their pressure is going to be exerted on the government, or in this case, the prosecution in Broward County, to press for this to get done. The judge is going to have to lay down the law to Google and all these other companies that this stuff has to come off the internet and get it taken down. Now, people have argued that because there is a Canadian citizen involved, and the Canadian citizen owns the channel, and that the website might not be physically in the United States, it turns out that there are treaties in place that do allow Google, who's an American-based company, to remove this material. Google can enforce its community standards that it has in place to get this material off their property. Because while Eager Beaver may own the channel, Eager Beaver does not own Google, who owns YouTube. And so Google can tell YouTube, get that crap off our servers. And it can be removed. It's been done in the past and continues to be done because YouTube is not required to provide any of us a YouTube channel. It's a service they provide as a company. They have a right to refuse service. If they feel it's not in their best interest to have Field McConnell on their channel under the field report, they can say, well, you're not going to be here. Go somewhere else. Get off this channel, and the field report's going to go bye-bye. Now, the judge has issued a court order that Field McConnell needs to get this done. And so Field McConnell can provide to his attorney contact information for Eager Beaver, and Eager Beaver can be ordered to take the channel down. I've gone into this before. Now, Eager Beaver doesn't seem to be too eager to put anything else up. There's nothing that I can find that belongs to Eager Beaver other than possibly E-Claus, who seems to be riding the coattails of Field McConnell and using his name to promote E-Claus. And while I'm on the subject of E-Claus, I want to make a correction that was made aware to me. It turns out, apparently, that there is a YouTube channel run by E-Claus and Kirk Pendergrass, and they are not on the field report. Their field report is just another channel they set up. Now, I haven't actively looked for the other channels, so I don't know where it is. But this brings up the point that if I can't find it, there's a whole hell of a lot of other people that can't find it. Because if E-Claus and the Kirk Pendergrass have their own YouTube channel, it's not being widely known, except by a select few. So it limits their presence on YouTube, which is probably why they're using Field McConnell to boost their presence to begin with. But again, this just proves that they cannot do anything on their own, that they're limited to a small Facebook channel and a small website and a small this and a small that. Now, you have to kind of wonder about people that want innocents to die. And in a way, I'm not surprised, because Tim Holmseth, for the past 10 years, has gone on and on and on about this woman from Broward County. And he has continued to blame this woman for all kinds of strange stuff. And other people as well. And there are people out there like Randy who are stupid enough to go along with this, that have decided that they are going to believe in and promote some of the most stupid and idiotic things that one can advertise on the internet. They're making themselves look like complete fools because of the things that they promote and talk about on their social media sites. Now, the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force does not exist. It never has existed. It never will exist. It's not how the United States government operates. It's not how the military operates. But a lot of people cast aside this established fact in order to believe in this pathetic Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And to the morons who promote this lunacy. Now, I understand that Randy is in the real estate business. I don't know as if I would, as a customer, trust this woman to either sell me a house or for me to go out and use this real estate individual to buy a house. Because her lack of judgment in promoting something like this would make me wonder what kind of judgment this woman uses in a professional capacity. The purchase of real property is an expensive proposition, and you would think that a person that is in this industry would possess sound mental faculties and sound judgment, but clearly Randy Erickson does not. I would not recommend anybody use this woman for any real estate transaction whatsoever, because her lack of judgment could cost you a tremendous amount of money. Now, one of the things that Tim mentioned in the infamous redacted tape was that he is still on this thing of where Vice President Pence is a member of the deep state and he is out to get rid of Donald Trump. And one of the things that Vice President Pence was alleged to have done is be the mastermind behind plots to kill Timothy Charles Homseth. Now, Timothy Charles Homseth, for quite a long time now, has promoted the idea that the Vice President of the United States wants him dead. So basically, what Tim Homseth is doing is accusing the Vice President of the United States of treason. That he is labeling Vice President Pence as a Benedict Arnold. Rather interesting point of view that Timothy Charles Homseth of places unknown thinks that he is so important that the Vice President of the United States would want to kill him. Now, in the monologue that he produced and put up, he once again accuses law enforcement of trying to kill him. He said he was run off the road. He said that at least once that law enforcement has attempted to plant drugs in his car so that they could arrest him for distributing drugs or what have you. And in a new twist, he has accused law enforcement of cutting his brake lines. Now, I don't know if Tim Homseth has been watching too much television, reading too many detective stories, or what have you. But he needs to understand something. If law enforcement wants you dead, you will be dead. They're not going to be sloppy about it. There's any number of ways, thousands of ways, that they could kill Timothy Charles Homseth and make it look like an accident. Fake it. He's been in jail. They could have killed him in jail. He runs around the country unprotected, sitting in parking lots using Wi-Fi. So he's basically a fish in the barrel. They could take him out anytime they damn well please. So this idiocy he promotes, where he thinks that people are trying to kill him, is nonsense. Because killing Timothy Charles Holmseth would be the easiest damn thing in the world. A 2-year-old could do it. Nobody's trying to kill Timothy Charles Holmseth. He's not worth it. Nobody is going to want to spend the rest of their life in prison or face the electric chair or gas chamber or whatever over Timothy Charles Holmseth. He's nothing. He's some weirdo that sits around in a car and spews nonsense. He's a joke. He's somebody to talk about and, say, hey, look at what the idiot put up on Facebook now. Look at what this doofus of a handler has put up on Facebook. These people are making fools of themselves. And we sit back and we enjoy it. They're not sane. They're dangerous because of what they're doing is putting the safety and security of a woman that neither one of them have met. They know nothing about the woman other than the conspiracy theories that they drummed up against her. Now, Randy Q. Erickson declared one time to be an officer of the court. I don't know if she actually was a tax judge or whatever the hell she's supposed to be. But she claimed to have these credentials that made her an officer of the court. And the funny thing about that is every public official takes an oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States, as well as enforce the laws. And she has violated her oath. She has disqualified herself as an officer of the court because she's helping Timothy Charles Holmseth break the law. She is allowing Timothy Charles Holmseth to engage in contempt of court, the very court she swears to uphold and defend. Makes her a hypocrite. I really don't believe she's anything other than a grossly incompetent real estate attorney that has weird ideas floating around in her head. This brings us to Mr. Hallett and E-Clause. Now, Mr. Hallett stated recently that because he has a notary public license, that he is an officer of the court. Well, he is not. A notary public is not an officer of the court. They, if anything, are witnesses. They certify that signatures on documents are those of the people signing them and that sort of thing. That's all they are. Depending on the state where you are a licensed notary, there are things that you're allowed to do. But you are not an officer of the court. I, as a dealer, am a notary. I have what is known as power of attorney to the extent that I can do transactions for my customers. I can go over and I can register a car on their behalf with the Department of Motor Vehicles. That's the extent of my authority. I am not an officer of the court simply because I have power of attorney. It's a term. It's not a position. I don't have an Esquire at the end of my name. I didn't go before the bar and get licensed, take that weird test that they have to take in order to become a lawyer. I'm not qualified. And neither is Chris Hallett, and neither is Kirk Pendergrass. They can sit there and argue about that and till they're blue in the face and call anybody an idiot and crazy if they don't believe what they have to say, but that's the way it is. You're not going to sit there and tell people they're idiots because they don't believe what you have to say and make it true, because it's not. Neither Chris Hallett nor Kirk Pendergrass are qualified to do much of anything. Kirk Pendergrass should stick to fixing cars. Chris Hallett needs to stick to whatever it is he does for a living, where he's not making a fool of himself on the internet. But just like everybody else in this circus, Hallett and Pendergrass is snatched on to a belief system and have managed to tap in to a fool's paradise, because they've got a following of a bunch of morons that believe the crap that comes out on the law corner, and that people will actually believe this moronic nonsense. Too bad, really, but that's the way things are on this planet. Somebody's always going to believe in something, regardless of how ridiculous it is. All you need to do is look at the Facebook channel of Randy Q. Erickson and Timothy Charles Holmseth to see the kind of ridiculous nonsense that people believe, and then how they twist things to meet their narrative. And they have people, excuse me, they have people that go along with this crap, that believe in this crap. And other than getting the safety and security at risk for people, it's actually harmless. I mean, if people want to believe in this nonsense, fine. They can suffer the consequences when real life shows them that it's all a load of crap. That if they start to take the advice of these people, they're going to go down a wild hole of despair when their life falls apart. Cynthia Abzug found this out when she got tangled up with these idiots. She's facing serious jail time. She's facing the loss of her child because she listened to people associated with Field McConnell, Tim Holseth, Randy Erickson, and others. And there's the woman from Arkansas who's going to destroy her life pretty soon now, when all this stuff gets brought up in court about her behavior. She faces the loss of custody of her child. And she may well face jail time as the investigations into her involvement in the Abzug situation comes to light, along with a woman that's going around giving out diplomatic passports and suggesting that people take their children and get the hell out of the United States to God knows where. And Eager Beaver doesn't have clean hands either, because there's international treaties here. And if Eager Beaver had anything to do with this kidnapping, or attempted kidnapping, or the fact that this woman's running all over the United States, his ass might be in a sling. There is such a thing as extradition. And we have extradition agreements with Canada. So Eager Beaver might want to start taking the appropriate precautions and divorce himself from the Field Report. The best thing Eager Beaver could do was to get rid of the Field Report. Get rid of the evidence. Cut himself off. Go do something else with his life. He'd probably be in his best interest to get completely off the internet. Because he's really dug himself into a hole. He just doesn't understand it. Every day I see something idiotic come out of these two Facebook accounts. And they're not getting much in the way of interactivity. They've got probably a dozen or so devoted fans, but that's about it. Because there's ways of gauging traffic, and they're not doing very well. And it's like they do it as a hobby anymore. Because you're certainly not going to be making money doing this. Because the income flow is going to get cut off. People are going to say, well, I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money on this nonsense. And they're going to say, nope, not going to do it. So their financial lifeline has been cut off. And if this woman wants to spend whatever resources she's got on these sightseeing tours all over the place, then, so be it. And if they do have enough fools that are willing to part with their hard-earned money so these people can go gallivanting all over the United States, taking pictures of signs and billboards and monuments, why not? It's funny that Phil McConnell has wound up being the patsy. Phil McConnell's wound up being the scapegoat, the fall guy, for the conduct of these two individuals. Now, there are people that said that no matter what Tim Holmseth did or did not do, Phil McConnell put this upon himself. He deserved it. He's been doing crap like this for years, so on and so forth, and they're probably right. I'm not excusing Phil McConnell for any conduct he may have done in the past, any sins he may have committed, all his various scams. But I am saying this. For if people go back and look, Phil McConnell's been getting away with what he was doing for years. Since at least 9/11, he's been able to come up with all this crap, and it was an income source. He was selling all kinds of things, even safety vests. Phil McConnell was able to profit from all of this. Phil McConnell was able to advertise for funds for the Veterans Ranch. Eventually, he was able to solicit funds and advertise for the Children's Crusade, and he was doing okay. The chances of him being prosecuted for these actions was minimal. It's only when Timothy Holmseth showed up that the stakes got to where they are now. Phil McConnell was given an opportunity through Timothy Holmseth to make money. He had all these books written by this guy in a neighboring state where he blatantly accused an attorney of crimes against children. And they thought, ooh, I hit the jackpot. This fits into the format perfectly. And then to add to the mix, they come up with a Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And they say, ooh, we can put these two together and make all kinds of money. I don't care how much Tim Holmseth denies it. That's what it's about in the long run, is money. Because Phil McConnell admitted it. He stated quite clearly that people on the board of directors of the Children's Crusade would get $60,000 a year, and all they have to do is say they believe in God. That's all. And since these people profess their belief in God all this time, it was an easy thing to do. And so, Tim Holmseth And everyone else in this group can declare that it's not about money when it actually is. They've proven it. Tim Holmseth is on record soliciting GoFundMe funds for all kinds of things. Tim Holmseth is solicited for funds for years. That's how he makes a living. He mooches off of people gullible enough to fall for his crap. And when he got mixed up with Bill McConnell, he saw the dollar signs. He saw a way to get more influence, bigger influence. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's tapped into someone that's the equivalent of a rich widow that seems to have money just flowing out of everywhere to spend on this little road trip that they're on. And the grifters keep on grifting day after day after day. And now these grifters are wishing people dead who are guilty of nothing more than going about their everyday lives. That because they live in Broward County, they are sentenced to death by these two. And this is the kind of people that have monetary support from those that believe in them and those that listen to them. Kind of a shame that this is what direction the world is going in. And these people are believers in God. They say, we believe in God, so on and so forth. And so they're saying by extension that God believes that an entire county should suffer death because an unemployed pizza delivery driver is falsely accusing a woman of criminal acts. Welcome to the wonderful, wild, and wacky world of the internet. So until later, this is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one.